The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Wrestling to the Max, Monday Night Raw review.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Wrestling to the Max Monday Night Raw review for July 16th, 2018. We are recording this Tuesday afternoon, so a little late, but better late than never. I'm Brandon Biskobing, your host, and joining me as per usual, the co-hostess with the mostest, Liz Pugliese. How's it going, Liz?
Pretty good. How are you today?
Not too shabby. Shall we get into this debacle?
Yes. I know some people, Harry, enjoyed it, but I don't.
I enjoyed certain parts, but we'll talk about our thoughts of certain segments as we move forward. Starting off the show is Kurt Angle in the ring, and we get the big thing of, is Brock here or not? What's going on? Is he gonna get stripped? Kurt says he's not here tonight. And he hasn't heard anything. I haven't heard anything from him since last night, which is Sunday night, about him showing up or any sort of contract negotiations. So therefore, because he has not said anything, it's been over a day and he hasn't heard anything from him, he is stripping him of the title. But before he can fully finish himself saying that, Paul Heyman comes out and Kurt says, "Look, if Brock doesn't come out right now, you're wasting my time. I'm still gonna strip it." And Paul says, "It's interesting that you say it that way because his client is not here tonight." And Kurt says, "Okay, you give me no choice. I gotta strip it." And Kurt says, or Paul Heyman's like, "No, wait." And Heyman runs it down, says that he's got it all wrong. Everyone's got it all wrong. Everyone thinks Lesnar doesn't care about being Universal Champion. He only cares about becoming UFC Champ. But nothing could be further from the truth. Brock loves being in WWE, but he wants to represent the entire WWE universe and challenge for the UFC title with the big red belt around his waist, or in his case around his shoulders, because he never carries his Universal title around his waist. So what the hell are you talking about, Paul? So that when he wins the UFC title, he does it representing WWE. Come on. Really? We're not that stupid, Paul. Come on. He says he wants to be a two-sport champ the same way Kurt Angle did, with him carrying around his gold medals. There's a bit of a difference there, Paul. Gold medals cannot be defended and are not meant to be defended. The Universal title is. Enough of that. He keeps on going. Kurt says, if that's the goal, more power to you, but I'm gonna make this very simple. Brock has to defend the title at SummerSlam, or he's no longer champion. And Paul finally says, okay, fair enough. Lesnar will defend at SummerSlam. Paul congratulates the crowd for making their voices heard, saying that they want more Brock, even though the chants were quite the opposite of strip the title. Heyman finishes, and he asks, who will it be? who will get victimized by Brock, and Bobby Lashley comes out. He says when he came back to WWE, he had 2 goals in mind, and he accomplished the first one when he beat Roman Reigns, and now it's time to accomplish the other one, to beat Brock for the Universal title. Drew McIntyre comes out, says he has goals too, and phase 1 this one was also stupid. Keeping the Intercontinental Championship around Dolph Ziggler's waist? You've been with Dolph since before he was Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, sometimes I think they just start talking and not, hear how it sounds.
Yeah, really. And now it's time for phase 2, the Universal Championship. Seth Rollins comes out and says, I'm right here. If it wasn't for Drew interfering, I would have been Intercontinental Champion. Elias comes out playing his guitar and, says nothing sounds nicer than Elias as the Universal Champion. And my debut album drops next week, so it only makes sense that I ride that success wave to SummerSlam and go up against Brock. Finn comes out, says, who was the very first Universal Champion? I should be the one to challenge Brock. And, of course, the last and certainly least, the big dog decides to make his presence known. You jinxed us, Liz. Thank you very much.
Even as a Roman fan, I have to say I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, everybody.
He doesn't have any excuses, and he does. Oh, this one was another doozy of one. He doesn't care about Brock Lesnar. He doesn't care about the Universal title. He just wants to fight someone. So what does Kurt do? He puts him in the number 1 contender. Triple threat.
Yeah, there was just.
This was just. This whole thing was just like the entire creative's brains were on neutral, and the fact that Paul Heyman even sounded stupid just goes to show how stupid this was.
Yeah, first let me apologize. I never mean to speak over you, but
go ahead.
I mean, there was there was a lot of good moments. I mean, I popped when Drew came out. Everybody in our little group knows, I love Drew, and I totally expected Seth to come out. As I've said numerous times on these podcasts, Bobby vocally falls flat for me, but we know he's very talented, in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have an objection to anybody who came in the ring, but even as I've said numerous times, I don't hate, Roman, but I get it. And I feel it too. Like, all right, we've been here. They didn't need to go through this whole charade, for the outcome, that we got. Maybe they'll do something more with it. It just is a note. It got like really, really dark. It's going to storm here. So I don't know. I mean, it had like some good moments. There was a couple of, good lines. Even Paul, he totally seemed, and it's odd for Paul because I adore Heyman, have for a very, very long time. Back to the Paulie Dangerously, days, aging myself here, and that's okay.
You gotta love the ECW arena.
Yeah, but even before that, when he was in, him and Cornette and WCW and all that. Back, I'm dating myself very, very much, and it was odd to even like see him stumble and try to figure his way, around what he was saying. But what I did enjoy just between Kurt and Paul, where Kurt not backing down and Paul have to kind of twist it, oh yeah, we're totally on the same page here. You drive a hard bargain,
Yeah.
So I did enjoy that. It had its moments, and I do hate coming on these podcasts, and I know you. Quite they're like, oh, that's predictable. It was predictable.
Mm-hmm.
But it, we knew we were going to get a multi-man, or assumed we were going to get a multi-man match. I think most people figured. I'm disappointed because, shoot. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. No, sorry. It's getting wacky here, and it says I have a poor connection.
Yeah.
So we're going to walk in the other room while I continue this.
Okay.
it said, so I'm kind of hoping that some of the other people that came out, still try to like mess things up, or we get something else going on, but we'll see. We'll see how they do it.
Yeah. First off, with the whole Paul and Kurt stuff, before I move into all the various people who came out to lay their claim, it just felt to me as though, while yes, I know he kind of left it open when he made his ultimatum on Sunday night, he did kind of back down a little bit, because he was like, oh, well, if Brock's not here, then I'm gonna strip the title. And then even though Brock still isn't there, Paul is able to negotiate his way into saying, okay, he'll compete at SummerSlam, but even though he's not there and he still, didn't have to show up, he Kurt backed down and allowed him to keep the title. But I guess the only thing that they really wanted to do was to make sure that Brock defends the title at SummerSlam. So I guess he got, what he was looking for.
I mean, my thought before we move on, well, no, I'll discuss it at the end, because then if they haven't watched and people actually listen to it, it'll give away what happened. So
okay,
I'll say what I was going to say later.
But in terms of all the different people coming out, I'm okay with it, just because, everyone's making their case and all of that, and it leads to the 2 triple threat matches.
But, I was kind of surprised Elias came out, but I mean, I don't have an issue with it. I have no complaints really about who came out, other than, okay, Roman, but it's not like we didn't expect it.
No, exactly.
So I'm not going to complain about it. It is what it is.
Yeah. I'll talk about my thoughts on the overall stuff that happened and who's competing for the number 1 contendership at the end, because, I think you probably feel about the same as I do, but we'll talk about that more later. So the 2 matches that were scheduled for last night were Elias, Rollins, and Lashley in 1 triple threat, and then McIntyre, Balor, and Reigns in the other. And the latter of the 2, McIntyre versus Balor versus Reigns, starts off, and they go on next. So, off of commercial, we get Baron Corbin in the back, and he's berating Angle for booking matches without asking him, or putting Corbin in either of them. And Angle, kind of funnily and, smartly, says, Finn beat you last night, so, why do you deserve a shot, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a good line.
Yeah, it was. So the opening contest, scheduled for
One fall,
is a triple threat number 1 contendership qualifying match between Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor, and Roman Reigns. This was a good match, and yes, the outcome was very predictable. But the way they handled it sets up some things, and hopefully sets up some future opportunities, and it kept everyone looking strong, especially my top guy, Finn Balor. Because he had Reigns down for the count. He hit the coup de grace. He had him down. He would have won if it wasn't for McIntyre pulling him out. So, it was a good match. Yeah, the predictable outcome happened. I think you can probably guess who won. Roman Reigns. But, at least it kept everyone looking good.
Yeah, you can't complain about the match. I mean, the match in itself was, good. A lot of good stuff, going on. It was pretty even. You can't say that one person dominated, more than the other. Nobody was completely destroyed.
Nope.
And that type of thing. So you can't complain about the match itself. If you want, and people will, and I understand it, you can complain about the winner. And again, even as a Roman fan, it's like, okay, we get it, kind of thing. But I do understand the people's frustrations. Not yours, not mine. I'm just saying in general. But so the match itself, there's no complaints about. I do understand why people are complaining about the winner, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, but I think
some big guy does have a briefcase. So
yes. But I think both you and I can agree, and I've stayed for the record for a while now. That it's around it's around a year now that I've actually been a Roman fan. So I'm okay with him winning. It's just that whole issue that has caused the hatred for Roman ever since 2015 is this whole concept of, oh, LOL, Roman wins every single time. And even when they tried to make him look like an underdog, it's not believable because that he's gonna win. So it's the way they handle it is what causes the outburst.
I agree.
We get Bayley backstage with Kurt Angle asking where Sasha is, but she's not here. Angle asks her about the counseling, and she says she really tried, did everything she could to meet Sasha halfway, and she thinks Sasha tried too, but it just didn't work, and she doesn't think they'll ever be together again. Kurt says he thinks she's wrong and wants them to settle it in the ring, which you would assume means one-on-one, but no, in Kurt Angle's mind, settling in the ring is teaming them up together. He did this for Roman and Bobby, so at least he's consistent. And we get a tag match play between Sasha and Bayley versus Dana Brooke and Alicia Fox. And then he says if they can't get along, one of them will get traded to SmackDown. Which, okay. Why? Why would you trade one of your top female wrestlers unless you're getting someone in comparable value? Why? Why is that a punishment?
It's like, oh, well, you don't get along here, so you go into the B show. It doesn't really make any sense,
I guess.
It's not the equivalent of, like, okay, if you can get along with your sister, I'm sending you to your room. It made no sense. I actually laughed.
The better option...
Becky?
What?
Who are they going to get, Becky?
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. But the better concept, at least on a conceptual... Now, granted, I'm still the idiot that thinks of WWE in terms of sports. And I know they've already kind of moved away from this concept. But, like, if you wanted to make it seem like a punishment... it would be, although this would actually be a reward for both of them, in all honesty, for most of the fans, if you said this to anyone, especially these two. But Kurt could have been like, if you guys don't get along, I'll send one of you down to NXT.
Yeah.
Because that's basically like sending you down to
makes sense.
Triple A.
It's the minor league type of thing. Yeah. Excuse me.
So that would have worked a little bit better, but still, we get Dolph coming out, a little recap with his Iron Man match against Seth. He talks about how all he did last night was everything he said he was going to do. He put on an absolute clinic. He's more of a Black Sabbath fan than Robert Downey Jr. because he is the Iron Man. Oh, God. Why? Why must you be cheesy, Ziggler? Hold on.
Doggy agrees with you?
Yes, Doggy agrees with me, apparently. And he said he's the Intercontinental Champion. He put the entire roster on notice, and he wasn't kidding. But he says he will give credit and respect to Seth. He respects everything he's done for the title, but he's no Dolph Ziggler. He not only beat Rollins once, but he beat him 5 times. Yeah, but Rollins beat you 4, so It's really like you only beat him once. Bobby Roode comes out. He says he knows Dolph was trying to give credit where it's due, but he hasn't heard him give any credit to Drew McIntyre, without whom he wouldn't be out here bragging right now. He should be on his hands and knees thanking Drew, because if not for him, he'd be down at the stand-up comedy club telling bad jokes. Yeah, that Iron Man joke was pretty bad. That reminds Ziggler, when he was headlining Extreme Rules last night, how fun was it watching him from the sidelines. Bobby says, yeah, the sidelines suck, but that's why I'm out here right now to challenge you for a match for the title. Ziggler starts backing off, but Bobby's like, oh, what, you afraid of you afraid of doing it on your own? And Dolph finally agrees and calls a referee down. But of course, the heel pulling heel stuff, he says, oh, I take that back. You can have a match, but it's not for the title. First, what do you think of this whole thing?
It was okay. I mean, I like both guys, so I don't want a match between the two of them. I kind of think we saw it 1,000 times on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, revisiting a little bit with something, I guess freshening up a little bit with the title. I'd love to see Bobby be in some type of title hunt. I would love to see them do something decent.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a
Bobby.
second.
So yeah, it was alright. I mean, I think Bobby actually spoke better than Dolph.
Oh yeah, definitely. So the following contest, scheduled for one fall, is Bobby Roode versus Dolph Ziggler in a non-title match. And surprise, surprise, they don't make the logical choice here. And Dolph Ziggler still manages to win with a super kick. It was a decent match. I won't take anything away from the match itself, but this was the perfect opportunity to get your new number one contender by having Bobby beat Ziggler clean without McIntyre there. Thus also kind of showing that Dolph needs McIntyre to win a match. And to set up Bobby as the new number one contender. Why would you have Dolph win this clean? Why?
I have no idea. I was wondering that myself because it seemed to negate the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Was Bobby, how's Bobby gonna come back after and be like, hey, it's also gonna be like, yeah, I just beat you. Why are you bothering me?
Yeah,
It didn't make any sense.
No. So, I mean, I have this weird feeling that in spite of this loss, Bobby Roode is still gonna figure out a way to somehow become number one contender. But if not, who gets that shot?
I mean, I don't know who's in the back. It's like what I keep thinking. Like who's,
Well, I mean, in theory,
there's a lot of people in the back. I mean, are they saving it? I don't even, as much as I hope Dean comes back soon, simply because I love Dean. I can't even say I want Dean to be the number contender because he's been down that road so many times for that similar or same championship. He's had the championship. He'll just be putting him back in the same spot that he's been in 1,000 times. Obviously, everybody, when they come back, needs to earn their spot, in my opinion, depending, whatever. But I'm trying to think of who's in the back.
I have a feeling it's going to be one of the 4 people who lost in those triple threats.
Well, it can't be Seth anymore. Seth
No. Okay, Seth is out of the picture. But I could see it being either Finn or Elias.
Yeah, I mean, because it's not going to be Drew.
Yeah.
Obviously. I mean, eventually it will be Drew because we all know they're going to break them up eventually.
Yeah.
So either Finn or Elias. I can see either one of them. I would rather see Finn.
Yeah, so would I.
And Dolph. So I feel like we've had Elias and Dolph, or we've had enough people that are similar to Elias and Dolph and no disrespect to Elias because he's really growing on me. That would be like, You know what I mean? I think they could work well together. But I think in some ways they're a little too similar for my tastes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
But yeah, we'll see where that goes. We get like a quick little Bobby Lashley cam promo, which isn't really worth mentioning at all. We see Bobby Roode walking backstage, and he runs into a slow clapping Mojo Rawley, who asks if he's supposed to be glorious before walking away. Okay, Mojo, you have no right to talk. What have you done on the main roster so far? Zip, nada, zilch.
Talk about somebody like they're really pushing down our throats.
Yeah. So the next contest scheduled for one fall is Mojo Rawley versus Tyler Breeze in not a full squash, but a semi-squash. Mojo Rawley wins. And yeah, I don't really have much of anything to say about this match. It's just filler.
I do. They should put Tyler in 205 or something, because he was stuck in that Fashion Police thing, which they were good. They didn't really get a shot as a tag team, but Tyler is definitely one of those guys that can do so much more.
I'll agree with that, but I also think like he needs a gimmick change.
No, yeah, totally. That's what I mean. Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Because
I never liked his selfie stick nonsense ever.
No. Yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like they really have any faith in him, but like, you know, if they could turn him around like they turned B-Team around, you know, that would be...
I mean, yeah, or for some reason, even, stick him back on SmackDown, let him feud with Xavier, the two of them are such good friends.
Yeah.
Anything. But he definitely needs, a gimmick overhaul. Because as we all know, and I feel like I say this every time, I didn't watch NXT back then. So when he came up, I was like, and everybody was like so super excited, about him. And it's just one of those things, and we've mentioned it before, that just did not, excuse the creaking, I'm opening my freezer, did not translate well over. So yeah, he's such a sweet guy. So
I think, I mean, granted, I didn't watch NXT when he was on NXT either, so I don't fully know if his gimmick was any different back then. But it just feels like it's a gimmick that just, like, some fans may get endeared to it, but, like, the best comparison I can use, and I have a feeling that he's gonna turn out exactly the same way, just because of his pure charisma, and, he's kind of funny, he's gotten over with fans that, even at first, were completely against him, like myself.
Right.
But Velveteen Dream.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I have a feeling that he's just going to be completely buried once he gets to the main roster.
It's not, excuse the beeping that you're going to hear in a second. It's not, oh my gosh. It's not a, why can't I get my microwave to work? It's not a, gimmick that's going to translate over well.
No.
At all.
No, not at all. So the next contest scheduled for one fall is a tag match play between Alicia Fox and Dana Brooke versus Bayley and Sasha. And, I mean, this match starts off decent, I guess, and then it just completely breaks down with both Alicia and Sasha, both Alicia and Dana going after Bayley. And Sasha comes in, makes the save, and attacks both of them. They both Sasha goes after both of them, throwing them into the barricade and apron, and Sasha just goes on a rampage, and the ref calls for the bell, and it's a no contest, I guess, or a double count out, or what have you. They don't announce anything because it's not like this is sports or anything.
Yeah, right? Why should they?
What do you think?
Why should they possibly? Not gonna lie.
I barely paid attention to this match
I barely paid attention to it. So when all of a sudden, like, Bayley was sitting there looking like she was gonna cry, and Sasha was storming off like a brat, I was like, wait, something happened? Okay, match is over. I don't know.
I mean, I figured something would happen, but I wasn't sure what exactly.
So I can't really comment on. I'm so sorry for the background noise, guys. I can't really comment on, what had happened or why, or how, because I had zero interest.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I don't dislike Dana. I would love to see her have an actual. I mean, all right, maybe she's not, on the top of the women's wrestling list, and of course, neither is Alicia. But I've always actually been a fan of Alicia for different reasons. But yeah, it was there. It was weird. It had no purpose other than to further this Sasha Bayley nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
As evidenced by the backstage segment that we got.
Oh God. Yeah.
So
be prepared for that. We're about to talk about that next.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to say before we move on to that?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
So moving forward, we get Sasha packing up in the locker room, ready to leave. Bayley comes in, says we have to talk about this. Sasha's says she's always cared, but she's having trouble talking about her feelings. She loves a lot of things about Bayley, and she says for some reason she can always tell when something's wrong, but she doesn't understand why she can't get that she loves her, always has, and always will. I don't know where the hell they're trying to go with this. They seem to flip-flop every single week. And did you see what Sasha posted on Twitter today?
No, and I'm really almost afraid for you to tell me, but go ahead.
She typed... She typed a bunch of gibberish, and then she said, let me pull it up.
Yeah, and I apologize for the background noise. I just gotta get something done.
But yeah, this whole thing is just, okay. She typed a bunch of letters, just gibberish, and then she said, but I have to try, with a bunch of, periods behind it. Which, when I first saw it, because I'm not in the loop on these sorts of things, but apparently, now correct myself and all of the other people on the page that I was commenting on, and people who tried to correct me on this. But apparently typing a bunch of gibberish is some sort of gay lingo thing.
I've never heard that, and I have 1,000 gay friends.
Then what they're talking about is completely imbecilic. But the way I
totally need to see that now. What site is this on?
On Cage Side Seats.
Yeah, I've never heard that, and this is from somebody who worships and follows all 10 members of Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, or Queer Eye as it's now known, and has numerous gay, lesbian, and trans friends. I've never heard that nonsense.
Okay.
Ever.
Yeah, you'll have to check that out and tell me later. If they're being complete idiots. But the way I read it was her basically very subtly saying, yeah, I don't get what the hell we're doing with this storyline either. It's complete gibberish. but her saying kind of subtly, but I have to try to make it the best I can, while very subtly, but not so subtly, giving up the giant middle finger to Vince and the writing staff. And I have a feeling that Sasha and Bayley are not going to be around for much longer.
What do you mean, not going to be around much longer?
Look at what's happened with Cody. Look at what, various companies are trying to expand their women's division and trying to expand the reach of women's wrestling. I think if Sasha and Bayley are going to continue to be used so poorly that they'll just say, hey, we can make money elsewhere.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because, this whole thing is just getting...
Apparently, there is some secret language that's really, I don't know, it's so stupid. I'm gonna go on Twitter actually now and look and see what she said.
Okay.
It's so dumb.
But yeah,
I'm sorry. Here's my take on it.
Okay.
I know a lot of people are gonna say, oh, it's a scripted show and it's like any other scripted show and blah blah blah. No, it's not.
No.
Because I'm trying to think like shows I don't not into like a lot of like American Housewives. Right? It's a comedy, but I watch that. Big Bang Theory. What's a good drama? Riverdale.
Mm-hmm.
All right. They don't expect us to suspend belief.
Mm-hmm.
And that Luke Perry is really Archie's dad. He grew up and he went from 90210 to being an Archie comic character. We're not asked to suspend belief. I mean, obviously there are some things where we're supposed to suspend belief in a sense that, these crazy things would happen. But we're not asked to suspend belief in the sense that, oh, this is a whole little world and this is all real, blah, blah, blah. It used to be, obviously, years ago, especially when I was growing up, much easier because we didn't have the internet and we didn't have the social media and all of that. And I made this comment the other day with you for the pay-per-view about Nia and Ronda and the women. It's especially hard to get into some of these, right? Women's storylines because they're constantly, and I don't mean in the sense of Total Bella and Total Divas, they're constantly all together, they're constantly doing all these things, and of course they should be. I don't think they shouldn't be friends. But if you want me to suspend belief for a couple hours each week on TV, stop showing me the behind the scenes stuff. In a sense, so that's why this storyline, if that's what they're doing, is going to fail miserably and offend 1,000 people, thousands of people. Because we all know Bayley is engaged or almost engaged, whatever. We all know that Sasha is married.
Mm.
One of them was married to a woman. I'd be like, all right, no problem.
Yeah.
So I think that only gay people should play gay people. No, that's not what I'm saying because that's not how I feel. But because we have this whole social media thing, because everybody follows, Makazi, because everybody knows, she's married. If you're gonna do this, take two women from NXT. Bring them on up and lay it on us. Two women that we don't really know much about or whatever. It's not. It's not. And this is the way they were going to go about it. They should have started hinting at it a long time ago.
Yeah. It seems so sudden and just so like if that is in fact the direction that they're trying to go now, because Lord knows we've had them. They've made it seem like they're going in one direction 1 week and then completely doing about face the next. So like I don't have any faith in them being consistent whatsoever to begin with. But even outside of that, even if this is the direction that they're going, and a bunch of people are going to say, oh, kayfabe is dead, and all of this, and, suspend your disbelief. It's different. Like, yes, kayfabe is dead and everything. But even outside of that, like, here, I'll use 2 examples. And both of them are different but the same. The first is reality TV shows. you're supposed to believe what's going on in those shows are real. Even though I think most of us know that, they accentuate certain things. But if you saw, I don't watch reality TV, so I don't know a good example for this. But if you saw two people who are supposed to hate their guts on a reality TV show, acting buddy-buddy on social media, it would completely destroy the whole concept of the show. Even if you know that it's fake, it's still gonna have that effect. And that's what wrestling is.
Yep. And you said much better, as usual, what I was exactly trying to say.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I mean, years ago we had Billy and Chuck, right?
Yeah.
Which, in its own stupid way, worked, right? Because of, a lot of people make a lot of people make, homosexual jokes about wrestlers because of what they wear, and whatever. Yeah. And holy moly, there was a baby tornado over Brooklyn. I'm throwing that out there, wrestling people. I'm watching the news. And it worked in its own way because of the culture and climate there. At that point, there was a lot of comedy, right? And they didn't really go overboard. I loved Billy and Chuck. I'm actually a big fan of both guys. It didn't bother me. And I've grown up with gay relatives and gay friends and gay neighbors, especially living in New York City. So it wasn't, as much as you can go back and roll your eyes, it was never really offensive. Did they hit some stereotypes? Yes, but a lot of that was on TV at that time, right? So even for the WWE or the WWF, whatever the heck they were at that time, it wasn't so over the top, you know? They were on talk shows. One of the ways, if I remember correctly, they were actually, praised for bringing it out there because neither Billy or Chuck were ever disgusting about it, Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember it as much.
I think being the Billy Gunn mark that I am, I remember it quite a bit. But no, but it was never really distasteful, whatever. Now you had a guy that here, Darren came out. What did you do with him? Absolutely nothing. Because you would never do this with two guys. You had the Billy and Chuck thing, which was kind of a parody and was played out where it was all a joke to get, make names for themselves or whatever. And that still kind of went over well. And Eric Bischoff was the priest or whatever. It was really weird, But now you had an opportunity to even, you could have even with Darren, right, an actual gay man who's supposed to be a very, very nice, man. You could have done things where, you're a scripted show, right? You could have done things where suddenly people are uncomfortable around him. You could have educated people, because we have a lot of that, crap now. You chose not to. Yeah. But now you're going to take two women and turn them into lesbians because that there are men out there who are like, oh, hey, lesbians, all right, I'm totally into that, whatever. It makes no sense.
No, it doesn't make any bit of sense. Especially if you're, I would think and hope, especially because, like I've said with NXT, this is the last year that, or at least I believe, I haven't heard anything official yet, but I've seen rumors about that this is going to be the last year that they're going to be in Brooklyn for SummerSlam. And they were the big thing from the original NXT Brooklyn show. So this would be a good kind of culmination as the last year they're in Brooklyn for SummerSlam, that they have a match on the main roster. But if you're going this route, what are you going to do? Have them start to feud and then, they have the match and then they hug at the end or something? I don't get where you're going with this. It just doesn't make any sense. And, in terms of the whole, gay and lesbian stuff, not only do you have to tread that water and toe that line so much more now, because people get up in arms over the slightest little thing now, but also with WWE's reputation, it's gonna be even worse. Because everyone is going to be nitpicking every little thing that they do with this. So you have to do it absolutely perfectly, or else you're going to have hell to pay.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I think they can possibly, play this off is if they play it off with, oh, she's confused by her feelings. I mean, they could even bring her husband in on it and be like, hello, whatever.
Yeah,
I don't care.
I mean,
But
there are ways you can get...
There are ways you can play on it, whatever. Hey, make them whatever it's called, a throuple. I don't care, but just to have them as two, well, I'm in love with you, you know what I really think as I'm thinking, I think they're going to have it where she suddenly thinks like she's in love, romantic love with Bayley, and Bayley is like freaked out, like, oh, hey, whatever. And it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, is it interesting? I guess, because you don't know what's coming next, but not in the good way. You're dreading the next week of, oh God, how are they gonna further make this into even more of a debacle?
Mm-hmm.
The one other thing I'll say about the whole kayfabe thing and everything is not just not just with reality TV shows, but with other combat sports. I mean, I'm sure, maybe they didn't like each other a lot, and maybe they, weren't the best of friends or anything like that. But I'm sure Mayweather and McGregor did not completely hate each other before their big boxing match last year. So stuff like that, or here's an even better example. And this one actually does kind of work, and MMA fans are already kind of up in arms about it because they do know about this, and this just kind of shows how stuff like this can take away from a match. Cormier and Lesnar are friends, so that whole confrontation that they had at 226, everyone knows that it was set up. So it takes away from that effect.
I mean, even look at. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. My phone went crazy. I mean, look at Seth and Roman. I'm so sorry. My phone went nuts. How much are they friends off air? I don't really know, and I really don't care. But you do know that they have some, friendship, some, history together. Obviously, I mean, it was great. Like when Roman came out, Seth, rolled his eyes, and Seth said in an interview, oh, he's my brother or whatever. So it's believable. There are things, like you were just saying, it's believable.
Yep.
This is absolutely not.
No, not one bit. Okay,
not with these two anyway.
Yeah, no, not with these two. Okay, we've spent enough on this train wreck. Let's move on.
Becky and Charlotte would be a whole different story, but anyway.
Oh God, don't even get me started. Braun is interviewed backstage about his match last night. He regrets not having an opportunity to congratulate KO on his victory last night, and he stayed out of tonight's number one contenders qualifiers because he's got the Money in the Bank briefcase that'll get him a shot whenever he wants. I kind of wish they would have had him come and say straight out, I just wanted to, like, basically what we were talking about yesterday of I just want to hurt him.
Right.
I just wanted to hurt him. But I guess they kind of did it in a more subtle way, I guess. They did it in WWE's stupid way. But, I mean, the whole thing of him not coming out during the number one contender stuff, that makes sense. Because, yeah, he's got the Money in the Bank briefcase. He can cash in whenever the hell he wants. Cole offers an update on KO, saying he's got bruised ribs and a neck strain, and he'll be reevaluated later this week. Not sure how much is actually the case and how much is kayfabe, but that's one person that I would have thought would have been in the number one contenders match, but obviously not. So the next contest scheduled for One Fall is a tag match play between the Ascension and the B Team. 3 months ago, this would have been a house show match. And now the B Team is the Raw Tag Team Champions. How things can change so quickly in WWE. This was kind of a bit of a squash. B team wins with a back suplex neckbreaker combo on Victor. And yeah, it was pretty much a squash. The Leaders of Worlds come on the screen and they say he hopes they enjoy their moment of glory, but it will not last. Hardy says they've disrupted the equilibrium of the heavens and they must pay, so they're going to have a rematch next week and delete the B team forever. We'll see how that goes. Any comments on the match or the following promo or, the match next week?
No, I mean, I kind of think they'll drop, or some other tag team will, interrupt and make, stretch things out. No real comment. It was a decent, quick little match.
Mm-hmm.
Can't say anything spectacular happened, during it. Shoot. And yeah, no, that's about it. I have nothing for you.
After that, we get Alexa Bliss coming out with Mickie James. She talks about her match last night and saying, she knows we were thinking there was no way she could beat Nia Jax, but last night she wrote the final chapter in the feud and it ended how all great stories end, with the bully looking up at the lights and the goddess victorious. Yawn. She dominated the women's division for so long because her strongest muscle is her brain, and if she's being honest, outsmarting Nia wasn't that hard. She's beating everyone in the locker room, and Rousey doesn't count because she's suspended and thus not in the locker room. After last night, she should be suspended indefinitely because she was supposed to be out here as a fan. And then Rousey, once again, I guess, bought a ticket, but further back? Or something. I don't know. This another thing that didn't make any bit of sense. But Rousey comes down the aisle and jumps over, or goes up the ramp onto the stage. Alexa tries to escape, but Rousey cuts her off. Rousey hits a Death Valley driver on Mickie James. And grabs an armbar. Bliss pulls her out, and some refs come out, and Rousey tries to give chase. Angle comes out after a few more things, and says that she needs to go home and wait it out. Corbin says, no, she needs to be reprimanded, and Angle adds another week to her suspension, and the constable says that's not enough. Stephanie isn't going to be happy about this. He's going to call her, and he says, oh, I don't have my phone. I left it in my office. And Kurt pulls out the phone after he leaves and says, I don't think he's calling Stephanie right now. And then Angle tells him that he's giving Rousey a match against Alexa once her suspension is up. And if she pulls another stunt like that, it's going away. And it'll be for the title at SummerSlam. Okay. You go first on this train wreck.
Okay, let's start with the petty stuff. Whoever tells Rhonda that these hairstyles look good on her.
Oh God, yeah. Oh God, those sideways cornrows.
Too thin for it. Her hair is too thin for it. Mm-hmm. I get it's supposed to make her look for a badass. You know who it works on? Tamina.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you want somebody to come out there looking like a badass? Then just stand Tamina next to her. Okay, and you'll have somebody who looks like a badass. I know Tamina's not a great wrestler. That's not what I'm saying. But Tamina has that look for it, and she has that thick, gorgeous hair. Rhonda doesn't. Those braids and those stupid ponies. And Rhonda's not a bad-looking woman. She's very pretty. Yeah. She's very pretty. It does nothing for her. I know.
It makes her look. Trashy.
Look stupid. It makes her look like white trash.
Yeah.
I am not. I know that most people out there, if we actually have anybody listening to us, have no idea what I look like. I am no pageant queen. I am the first one to say that, but her hair is ridiculous.
No, yeah.
And for all the I follow
as soon as I saw it.
the
Well, not only that, but the stupid eye black that she had around her eyes. It just looked bad.
the whole thing. I mean, I don't know what they're going for. I follow the women who do the hair and the makeup for the WWE, and obviously you see the other women. It's amazing. They do such beautiful work. I guess they're doing her blindfolded. I don't know. In terms of the actual segment, it was okay. I mean, you know, whatever. I'm not going to say the same crap I said about the whole Ronda thing again. It is, you know, what it is. This one was, you know, it was okay. I enjoyed it, you know, for what it was. But it's kind of like, for me, in terms of Ronda, over the whole thing, it's kind of like, you know, I can't even use the expression like that I want to use. But like, just, you know, do it and don't pull the trigger. Let's move it along already. You know,
well,
I get why, you know, it's because it's the same thing every week, which we say about a lot of things. But
they could have easily done this. Like, I guess they wanted to get the ball rolling quicker or something. I don't know, but they could have easily done this. They could have easily just waited and done this next week, where her suspension is up, she's back, and, you know, Alexa comes out, you know, because she is the arrogant, you know, cocky heel. You know, she comes out talking trash, saying, you know, oh, what's this overhyped rookie gonna do about it, yada, yada, yada. Rousey comes out, tries to attack her, you know, Alexa escapes and whatnot, but then Kurt comes out and says, you're the new number one contender, and you're facing Alexa at SummerSlam.
Right, yeah.
You could have easily done that. I mean, the only way that this even somewhat makes sense, and I'm sure this is the direction that they're going with this, it just makes it even worse, because I thought they were already past this, is that they're using this whole storyline with Rousey and Kurt as another way of continuing this whole thing of Kurt versus Stephanie.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. But for me, the whole, the person's in the crowd is old and done to death.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, following that, we get Seth Rollins in the back. He says it wasn't his night, but tonight's a different story. And as is next week and SummerSlam. As for Roman, he's got all the respect in the world for him. He's his brother, but if his road to SummerSlam goes through him, he has to do he's got to do what he's got to do. And if he knows Roman like he thinks he does, he'd say the same thing about him. So the next contest scheduled for One Fall is a tag match play between Authors of Pain and Titus Worldwide. And this was another pretty quick squash with Akam and Rezar picking up the win with the last chapter on Apollo Crews. Not really much to talk about for this one, just another way of getting Authors of Pain some more momentum.
Yeah, I got nothing for you. I mean, it's, you know, two tag teams, one that I'm not even sure why they're still there, and another one that I guess they're starting to try to build up again. And that's it. It was a quick match.
We get a funny segment in the back with Riot Squad trying to do their new Riot Squad things. And then No Way and his conga line interrupt them and dance right past them, making them look like fools. I popped.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
So the next contest scheduled for
One Fall
is Ember Moon versus Sarah Logan. First off, I get that they're trying to build her character a little bit, but the whole thing about them talking about Logan's past and everything just fell flat for me.
Okay, if I may.
Okay.
The announcers came off as if they were mocking her.
Mm-hmm.
There was no support in it. There was no, look how tough she is. If you follow her on social media, her and her fiance there,
Mm-hmm.
they what do you call it? What do you call it, Brandon?
What?
Like when you go out in the field and you dress up like a Viking and like keep things up.
Live action role playing.
Yes, they do
LARPing.
that, but they do all sorts of like crazy, wild, really physical stuff. They're down, they're dirty, they're in the mud.
Yeah.
You know what? Make
For
it into the.
Hold on. For those of you who do not know, her fiance is one half of War Machine / War Raiders Hanson.
Yeah.
The very burly one.
Yeah. So you know what? Build it up. Be like, look at this. Make her into the a different version of Nia. Hey, I am different, and it rocks. Mm-hmm. They were mocking the shit out of her, and it was disgusting.
Yeah. The other thing that I would have kind of, and I mean, I know the timing was kind of wrong, but the way that they could have done this, where the fans would have gotten a little bit more behind it, is if she actually had this character and they actually gave her more time in NXT, especially once War Machine got there. And they could have had her, team with or manage War Machine or do whatever. Do something with Hanson where, that builds her character up. It seems like they're just rushing. They're like, oh, wait, we don't really have a character for Sarah Logan at all. Let's just create one haphazardly.
Yeah, I mean, they probably saw that she actually gets a lot of, like, really supportive comments on it on social media, and a lot of stuff with, him and all sorts of, things, and people go for it. People, enjoy it. People think, it's really cool. But Cole especially, I normally don't get on Cole about anything, but Cole especially just mocked the shit out of it by laughing constantly. And it annoyed me.
He mocks everything everything that's cool.
I know, but this he was like
mock.
He mocks it, like he gets a little sarcastic and whatever. I can forgive that, but this he was like outright, laughing.
Yeah.
Outright laughing, and it was just too much. Because and I said it in our whatever chat. The W2M Facebook chat thing. I was like, if it was a man that was supposed to be a Viking, or like the Celtic warrior that was a warrior, I'm like, oh yeah, look at him, more about.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, she ends up getting the win with lateral press. So maybe this will be the start of a push for her because they're actually giving her a character and whatnot. We'll see. It's falling flat for me right now. Maybe they'll, gimmick her up some more. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't really have much faith right now. We get Elias singing us a song. He forgot where he was for a second, but when he remembered he was in Buffalo, he got depressed. He hypes up his record release on July 23rd, and the title of the album is Walk with Elias. And now all he has to do is get through this performance and he'll be on his way. He sings about how Brock has to go and he'd rather watch paint dry than listen to Lashley speak, which was funny. And how Rollins should take a dive off of Niagara Falls. How rude.
Rude. True about Bobby. Rude about her.
Rude about Rollins, true about Bobby. And then, Seth interrupts him. He counters Rude with Rude. And we get our main event scheduled for one fall.
One fall.
As it is a triple threat #1 contenders qualifying match for the Universal title. Before the match even starts, technically, Elias attacks Rollins from behind during Bobby's entrance. And then this one definitely wasn't as good. Maybe it was in part because we all knew who was going to win this one. But this definitely wasn't as good as the first one.
No, not at all. I can't even say that they phoned it in. It was just kind of, haphazard, maybe.
Mm-hmm. But in the end, Rollins does hit a blackout on Elias and almost has a win, but Lashley breaks it up. And Bobby ends up winning, hitting a spear on Elias. And we have Bobby Reigns Part 2 next week. And yeah, why couldn't you have just I get it for I get it on a logistical level for a couple of reasons, but why couldn't you have just made this the number one contenders match at Extreme Rules?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would have liked to see Roman lose, and let me explain why, not just simply because he's Roman, and Bobby win, and then Roman, become like a real, like, jerk, like going out of, constantly going after Bobby, like just like flipping out and, tweaking his personality, a little bit, maybe, full on heel, or whatever. Something. I would like to see done like that, like, like just pissed out that he's constantly, losing and mad at himself and taking it out on everybody else. And that I think would have, kind of worked. Why they just did this, give us the same, they could have pulled the names out of a hat. They could have been like, all right, we're putting everybody's name in a hat and we're going to pull out two people, like, you're the number one contender, you're going to have a number one contender match. Because you just gave it to us. We just had it. There you go.
Yeah. It was just I don't even know what to say about this because we just had it. It's so damn predictable. And why? Just why? Like, and this is exactly, I mean, we talked about it with the whole Reigns match. But that's the thing that, annoys people about this kind of booking is that it's so predictable, and that's what gets people to turn on, Roman, and you hear the boos already for Bobby. I mean, it also doesn't help that he's very boring on the mic, especially as a face. But people are already turning on him because they can see that they're going to push Roman and Bobby in spite of everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, what I said would have worked the other way, as well. All right, if Roman wins, stop it, Bruno. My dog's being a jerk. I called him by my dead dog's name, but whatever. They look a lot like, so, if Roman won, then fine, give us Elias, give us Seth, and have Bobby, like, go so berserk he beats the crap out of the other one, at the winner. Causing them to be like, okay, well, he can't compete, and then the other guy comes back in a couple weeks and goes after him, and so on and so forth, whatever. Then I'll be like, oh, all right, here, it's a little badassery, whatever. But no, it's the only redeeming factor is that Braun has the briefcase.
Yes.
Right? If they even attempted to give Braun a cash-in that didn't work, I think people would come out of the stands and rush the ring.
Oh, yeah.
The way they do sometimes.
Oh, God, yeah. If
other sports,
if they...
when they rush the field.
If they have Reigns win and Braun attempt to cash in and fail, oh, God. Be prepared for a damn riot in Brooklyn.
So yeah, before we sign, we do our reviews and numbers and all that. But it makes you worry what's going to happen. Is Braun going to cash in against Brock, which is what we all want to see? I mean, I gave several wonderful scenarios that I would love to see. Or is Braun going to cash in against Roman, and then we're going to be stuck with Roman Braun Part 2?
I'm okay with Roman Braun Part 2. Because...
I am too, actually, but people out there aren't going to be.
Well, but if they did it properly and they actually had them kind of go back and forth, and it wasn't, everyone was afraid, when Roman Braun Part 1 first started, was that, Roman was gonna, use Braun to get put over even more. But quite the opposite actually happened.
Right.
So...
Right, no, I know.
If they did it properly, I'd be perfectly fine with it. Because they had some of the most memorable moments of 2017.
No, yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying a lot of people would.
Yeah. I mean, if they did it properly, I think it would be okay, though. But let me just say this before we go into our, number and one-word review. We talked about this, on the chat, but, it seems like WWE is in that lame duck period of, okay, we've got our TV deal, it doesn't start until 2019, so we can just phone it in for the remainder of the time and not care. And that's a very bad sign. So don't be prepared. Be prepared to have very lackluster WWE for the next year and a half.
Yeah, I did wonder. You explained your thoughts because I wasn't really getting it the way you phrased it, and that was me, not you. I'm not being insulting. And I have to agree. Because I don't really know much or pay attention to the ads and the marketing and this, that, and the other thing. So sometimes I need it spelled out for me. But no, I can see your point.
So scale of 1 to 10.
6.
I'll give it a 6 as well. It was, some of the stuff wasn't terrible, but it was very, very lackluster. One word review.
Basic. It was a very basic, very predictable show. You can't. It didn't really set up much. I mean, it gave you a couple of things and then just sucked them right away from you.
I'll do a hyphenated thing. I'll say phone it in. WWE has phoned it in. They don't care right now. They're just kind of, going through the motions until, either Mania season, because that's when everything gets hyped up, or next year when the new TV deals start.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Be prepared for that for the next year and a half. This will be
Brandon.
Fun. What?
Thanks, Brandon.
You're welcome. At least we still have NXT.
True. Very true.
So, for Liz Pugliese, I'm Brandon Biskobing saying so long, and we'll talk to you guys later. See ya.